Welcome to Cape Point Part 2. I am Zach.
Welcome back, guys, and for part 2 we're also starting back at the top of the lot because we are firstly going up to the lighthouse, and then we're going to go to the very tip around the corner, and then we're off to go hike the Shipwreck Trail. So join us on this adventure.
At the edge of Africa's continent, where towering cliffs meet the restless sea, stands the iconic Cape Point Lighthouse, a beacon of hope, built in 1859 to guide sailors through one of the most treacherous stretches of ocean on Earth. Below it lies the wild meeting place of currents clashing, winds howl, and waves show no mercy. But this lighthouse carried a fatal flaw. Standing high above the cliffs, its light often disappeared into thick rolling fog. Ships navigating near the infamous Cape of Good Hope couldn't see it until it was too late. And then came 1911. On a cold, unforgiving night, the Portuguese liner Lusitania ran aground nearby, not because there was no lighthouse, but because its light was lost in mist. It was a disaster that changed everything. The wreck exposed harsh truth. The very lighthouse meant to save lives was failing them. In response, a new lighthouse was built, lower down, closer to the ocean, where its beam could cut through the fog and darkness. And it worked. The old lighthouse was abandoned, left behind as a silent witness to the lessons learned here. Today it stands not as a symbol of failure, but of evolution. A reminder that even in the face of nature's power, we adapt, we learn, and we endure. As you stand here now, looking out over the endless horizon, you're not just looking at the ocean view. You are standing in a place where history changed course. Long before tourists stood at the edge of Africa, giants once roamed these plains. The eland, Africa's largest antelope, disappeared from Cape Point only to be brought back decades later. Today, if you're lucky, you might just spot one quietly moving through the fynbos, just like a ghost of the past. And here we've arrived at our starting point, Olifantsbos. The name Olifantsbos has a surprisingly mysterious origin. It comes from the old farm name Olifantbosch, meaning elephant bush. But why elephant? There are two theories. The skeleton theory. Early settlers reported finding elephant bones or a skull in the area. And then there's the landscape theory. The low, rounded milkwood trees in the valley look like a herd of elephants from a distance. No one knows for sure which one is true, but both add to the mystery of the place. And as I've mentioned before, we're doing the Shipwreck Trail. And I don't think there's any secret why that is called the Shipwreck Trail. The two shipwrecks that we are after is the SS Thomas T. Tucker and the SS Nolloth. The Shipwreck Trail is one of the most famous hikes in Cape Point. It is a very nice hike to do as a family with young kids, because this hike can be done in two different ways. You can take the easy way, which will take you about an hour and a half, where you start at Olifantsbos, make your way through the fynbos onto the white sandy beach, follow the beach all the way down until you reach the Thomas T. Tucker shipwreck. From there, you just make your way back to the parking lot. We took the 3-hour hike. We went up the mountain first, because high above the trail, hidden among the fynbos, are abandoned concrete structures, often mistaken for ruins of old houses. But they're not. They are the remains of a World War II submarine observation post. During the war, the Cape Sea route was critical for Allied shipping. German U-boats operated in nearby waters. Lookout stations were built along the coast to spot enemy submarines and ships. One of these posts still stands above Olifantsbos, weathered, forgotten, and slowly being reclaimed by nature. From here, soldiers once scanned the horizon for enemy submarines. Today, only the wind remains. As you descend from the rugged mountain path, the sound of the ocean grows louder until suddenly the beach opens up before you, wild, untouched, and scattered with the ghost of the sea. Walk along the shoreline. The wind carries the story of the Nolloth shipwreck, a Dutch coaster that ran aground here on 30th of April 1965 after striking the infamous Albatross Rock. Loaded with fine liquor, the captain breached her to save the cargo, and the crew were dramatically airlifted to safety, one of the first helicopter rescues of its kind in South Africa. Today, her rusted remains lie scattered in the sand, a quiet reminder of why this coastline is still called the Cape of Storm. This is what remains of the SS Thomas T. Tucker. Built during the height of World War II, she was one of the famous Liberty ships, designed to carry vital supplies across dangerous waters. In November 1942, she was sailing along the coast of South Africa, operating under strict radio silence to avoid detection by enemy submarines. But silence came at a cost. Caught in dense fog, with no communications to guide her, the ship drifted off course. On the night of the 27th of November, she struck the reef near Olifantsbos, just below Cape Point, a coastline already feared by sailors for centuries. The impact tore into her hull. Water rushed in, and within moments, it was clear the ship was lost. Miraculously, every crew member survived. They made it safely to shore, standing where you stand now, looking back at a vessel that had carried them across oceans, now broken against the rocks. In the days that followed, the relentless Atlantic began its work. Waves pounded at the wreck, winds howled across the cliffs, and the once mighty ship was slowly torn apart, piece by piece, scattered along this very beach. Today, what remains is quiet. Rusted sections of hull lie half buried in the sand. Twisted metal rests between the rocks. It's easy to walk past, but when you stop and listen, the story is still here. A story of war, of navigation without certainty, and of how quickly the sea can turn. Standing here with the wind at your back and the ocean in the front of you, you began to understand why sailors once gave this place the name, the Cape of Storms. From forgotten watchtowers above to shipwrecks scattered below, this is more than just a trail. It's a journey through war, survival, and the raw power of the ocean. We are even being escorted out of this trail by an ostrich. Anything in Cape Point is possible. And so we've come to the end of this video. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did hiking it. If you liked it, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.
And that brings us to the end of this hike.